y'all, if you're new here, I'm April.Kristine. Welcome to my channel. And if you're not new here, hey boo, I see you coming back. As you can see from the title of today's video, I like to think of myself as like kind of a travel expert. I've been on quite a few trips in quite a bit of different situations. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 15 to 20-ish tips and tricks that just make my life easier on the road, in the air, whatever the case may be, especially when traveling with little ones. So if that's something you're interested in, which hopefully you are because you clicked on this video, and even if you're not, you're just here to support your girl, which I appreciate, keep on watching. Oh, and if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe because we'd love to have you. Like I said, we travel quite a bit. We actually just got back from Alabama. I am in Texas, San Antonio, Texas to be specific. And when you're from Texas, it's just an unspoken rule that you know you're gonna have to travel. If you wanna go to Houston, you're gonna travel 3.5, 4 hours. If you wanna go to Austin, even though it's an hour away, you might be on the road for 3 hours because hello, 35 is insanity. If you wanna go to Dallas, you're gonna be on the road for anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. The beach is 4 hours away. Galveston is 5 hours away. If you just wanna do anything other than experience the town that you're in, you're gonna have to drive. Because I am smack in the middle of South Texas, getting out of Texas is quite a while. So if you do not know, my husband is from Mobile, Alabama. If you have no idea how is he from Alabama and you're from Texas, how did you guys like? There's a whole video up on my channel if you need more information or background, but we do travel there pretty often. So I am very much a planner, and if you're not a planner, I am here to help you. I am here to get your life together. I'm here to make your life just a tiny bit less stressful, if at all possible. I am very much a planner. I need to have things written down. I need to know what I need, that way I don't forget anything. And these are just the main things that I've come across that works for me and my family. Without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, also, this is not going to be in this video, but if you're a breastfeeding mama, I've also been a breastfeeding mama, traveling, flying, taking flights. I went to Jamaica while I was breastfeeding. We went to Mexico while I was breastfeeding. We've been on cruise ships while I've been breastfeeding. So I have quite a bit of experience when it comes to traveling, the whole breastfeeding journey. So if that's something you're interested in, I could absolutely film that video. I would like to make it separate than this video. It's just a lot of stuff that goes into that specifically. But if that's something that you need or something you're interested in, or if you just have any questions, you don't need a whole video, let me know, hit me up. But yeah, I do have a little bit of experience with that as well. Getting into today's video, our first thing that I think is probably the most important part on my end and for my family is snacks. I hate being on the road and traveling because I hate eating out. It doesn't sit right with my soul to eat out constantly. I never know what I want. It's always inconvenient to stop. So for me and my family, I always make sure to pack plenty of snacks. When it comes to snacks, things I like to pack are things that I know are easily accessible to me. When we pack, we usually put all of the luggage and everything in the trunk, but then of course the snack bags stay up front. I always have a cooler. I don't want to show you mine because it's pretty dirty and I need to clean it out because we just got back. But this cooler specifically, I will pop in pictures. I absolutely am obsessed with. I bought this when I was breastfeeding and specifically for like breast milk and such, but it has come in such big handy. It's not overly sized. It comfortably sits in the back seat, between the seat and whoever's driving, or the seat and the passenger. It's not too big to where it takes up too much space. It doesn't get too heavy depending on what you put in it. And I don't ever use ice. I personally use these super huge ice packs that I bought again when I was breastfeeding. But these super huge ice packs, I just kind of put 2 or 3 in there depending on how many I think I'm gonna use. If I have milk, I like to keep it extra cold. So I like to pack drinks. Horace loves Gatorades. I like to keep those in there. I pack juices for the girls. I always keep some milk in there just in case Camila gets cranky because she likes to have some milk. But then also other things that I put in there are like cheeses. If I have Lunchables that I want to pack, I did just recently buy these tiny little meal prep trays from HEB. They're like 10 bucks and you got so many of them. And in those, I put like broccoli, I put tomatoes. Mila really likes bell peppers, so I packed her some of that stuff. I just like to pack healthier snacks because I know on the road we're gonna stop at gas stations, we're gonna get junk food. So I just like to have a few healthy options for them. And then somehow every time we travel back, I always wind up bringing things back home with us. Because last time we were there, I found some coffee that I haven't been able to find here, so I grabbed those and brought them back. But just having a cooler in general with snacks cooler drinks, I 1000% recommend, could not recommend more. Again, with the snacks, we have a cold section for our drinks and our snacks, but then I also bring like a tote. I just kind of fill that up with snacks as well. That way I just have, again, easy access to snacks. In those specific snack bags, I recently brought like individual wrapped popcorn. I brought a bag of apples. Forrest really likes to snack on trail mix, so I'll bring some sort of nut mix. Whatever kind of snacks you're into, you can pack Pop-Tarts, you can pack Cheez-Its, you can pack all kinds of different things in this specific bag because it doesn't need to be cold, it doesn't need to be insulated, it's just a bag of snacks. Whatever snacks you're into, whatever snacks your family is into, just throw that in a bag. It's also super convenient for us to set it that way because both of the girls are still in car seats. That's just personally what we do. We have a bag of snacks and then our cooler of snacks. So that's one of the ways I like to travel. After snacks and kind of in the midst of snacks, I found this car seat tray recently on Amazon. I don't know what I was doing or what I was looking for, but I found this tray and it's so cute because it's pink and purple, and on the base of it, it has unicorns, which hello, Liliana's obsessed. I saw the price tag on it and I was like, I don't know if I should recommend this because it's kind of pricey, especially when you have 2 kids. It's like $35. So buying 2 of them, I spent like $70 on them. Don't tell Horace things, but I just wanted to see, I think it's genius, but also is it efficient? Like, is it like convenient or is it just like a huge inconvenience? And honestly, I really enjoyed it. I obviously didn't show the girls until we were on the road, and that's another tip that I have is like introducing them to new things they haven't seen before or they won't get bored with. So I did buy these trays and I absolutely loved them. The size of them was fabulous. They weren't oversized, they weren't too big, they weren't too small. They have all of these different compartments. They were able to put their drinks in there. Mila was able to put her map pencils in there. Liliana was able to stand her iPad up and also have her food. Like, they just came in genius, absolutely genius, because if you have kids, you understand feeding them in the back seat, things are constantly spilling. There's crumbs everywhere. They're throwing things. Like, it is just a disaster. So to refrain from having a huge mess in the back, granted, we personally only used them like once on the trip, but that's because Liliana just wasn't used to it yet. She wasn't comfortable with it. So maybe if you introduce it to them, but then at the end of the trip on the way back, Camila was actually asking for it. It's super easy to figure out. You just lay it out on top of their lap and then it has a buckle that straps around. I didn't put it around them because that made me anxious. I put it around their entire car seat so they weren't having to mess with it at all, and it stood really sturdy. It wasn't moving. The only thing I found with it is Liliana's car seat already has cup holders in it and they're kind of taller than her seat, so it didn't fit very well on Liliana's car seat, but it fit perfectly fine on Camila's, and Camila also has cup holders. I don't know the girls' car seat brands, but I will pop them up or in the description just so you have a reference. Yeah, that was the only downfall to that specific tray, but otherwise I think it's genius. Also, the price I'm obviously not in love with, but after you spend it, they're gonna have it for a while. It's going to be easy and accessible for them for a while. Again, or if you don't know, Camila is about to turn 3, Liliana is 5, so I think we'll have it for a while. We do travel 2 times a year at the very minimum. But yeah, I found these on Amazon and I'm absolutely obsessed. So another thing that I recently just winded up doing this trip, Camila is completely potty trained. She is not having accidents anymore. She's sleeping throughout the night without a pull-up or a diaper. Liliana obviously has been potty trained for a really long time, but Camila is still only 2 years old, so I knew she doesn't have the best control of her bladder. So one thing that I decided to do was to bring one of her little potties with her. She usually uses the potty, the little seat that goes on top of the big seat for the toilet here at home, but we also have like a little potty that, you know, you potty train in. So I packed that, I put it in the car. I do usually travel with that when she was first initially potty training. This is a trick that I learned from just being a nanny forever, talking to other moms. But when your child is potty training, carry a potty with you in your trunk. I personally have like an SUV, so the trunk lifts up. You're not always in a place there's a bathroom, and you cannot control when your potty training toddler has to go potty. So it's just really convenient to have. You would be so surprised, like, duh, why didn't I think of this before? But having a potty with you, that way you can just pull over and they can go literally wherever. You're in a parking lot somewhere and they just need to go potty. It's so convenient to have. So I personally did bring her potty. I did put a pull-up on her just in case, but she refused to use her pull-up, which good for her, but we just had to make more stops. But if we were in a situation to where we absolutely couldn't stop, or we were on a highway like 12, that highway doesn't have a lot of stops. I know from San Antonio to Houston, that part of 10 doesn't have a lot of stops. So if you're traveling in that sort of direction, or you know there's not gonna be a lot of stops, maybe consider packing one of their training potties. It'll just be so much easier for you to have something for them to go in. Obviously wipes, things like that, easy cleanup. So yeah, maybe maybe consider traveling with Potty. That's something we did. Another thing to consider traveling with is, I know when I was young, I was always a reader. My head was always in a book. I loved to read. I would read a lot when we would drive, but I am so prone to motion sickness. I would get so car sick. Didn't matter how far we were going or where we were going, I was just constantly car sick. I still now sometimes get car sick if I'm not the one driving, especially if I'm in the back seat. I get so car sick. Because of that, Liliana is also the exact same way. She gets so car sick, but with her, she's not reading a book, she's watching her iPad, and she already wears glasses. So even if she has her glasses on, she has her glasses off. If she's watching her iPad too long or there's too much going on, she does tend to get car sick. She's usually pretty good about telling me when she's about to get sick, but we had this experience going to Houston the last time that we all went together, and it was just everywhere. To go into child vomit with you guys, if you have kids, I'm sure you know, but just having to pull over and clean her up. Please, 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 obviously have an extra pair of clothes for the kids, wipes on deck. I now carry a sick bag in my glove compartment that I picked up, I think from like the hospital one time when I was there, but I'm sure you can order them. But I do carry a sick bag with me, but also that's not the tip. That is a tip, but it's not the tip I'm getting at. Maybe carry a sick bag with you if your child tends to get motion sickness, or just in case, you literally never know. But recently I thought to myself, why haven't I thought about giving her like a Pepto-Bismol or specifically a Dramamine before we leave? So I looked into it, and you can give kids Dramamine. For Liliana's age, they only recommend half of a Dramamine. So I ended up giving that to her on the ride over and on the ride back, and she did not get sick, not one time. And I guarantee you she would have gotten sick at least twice on the road. Had to take a breath, roll the window down, tell her to breathe, all that stuff. But we were able to avoid that by me just packing a Dramamine. It doesn't take a lot. She's only taking half of one. I think we only used one pill the entire way, half there, half back. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but if you or anybody you know or your kids get motion sickness, pack a Dramamine. It will just absolutely change your life, because I know it changed mine. Okay, I know I kind of mentioned this earlier, but packing them a new toy, or not necessarily a toy, but something that's new to them or that they haven't seen in a while, is the best tip I've ever received. Like I said, we were traveling a lot when the girls were little. I was breastfeeding. When we took our first flight with Liliana, I was very anxious about how she was going to be in the air. I read somewhere, some blog somewhere, said to bring a toy that's either new to them or something they haven't seen in a while, so they can have something new to explore, something new to kind of jog their brain and give them something to do and keep them occupied for quite a while. So that tip worked tremendously for us this time. Gamila absolutely loves to color, and because she loves to color, but with crayons, she's constantly eating them, or she's taking all the wrappers off all of the crayons. It literally ends up everywhere. Or with markers, she loves to color on herself, on her legs, no matter how many times you talk her out of it, no matter how many times you ask her if she did it and she's covered in markers, she will still stare you in the eye and tell you she didn't do it. So between markers and crayons, none of those seemed like a viable option for us on this road trip. So instead I opted for map pencils. The reason I didn't want to give her map pencils before is they kind of made me nervous because they're pointy and they're pokey and they're long and they seem kind of dangerous, but she actually did so well with them. So she's never experienced map pencils before. But also I bought her a brand new drawing tablet, just a blank drawing pad, and she just had her little tray open. She had all her map pencils in her little pocket, and then she would just take out her map pencils and she just went to town in this drawing tablet for probably like an hour and a half, if not 2 hours on the ride. So that was a saving grace for us. She was so enticed. She's such an artistic little soul. She had the best time coloring and using her map pencils and using all the different colors on this brand new paper. I usually am on to her about not drawing one tiny thing on every single paper, but it was a brand new tablet and she could just do whatever she wanted to do at that point. So she had such a good time. I've also heard that like if you have tiny babies, you can put little things that make noise in like medicine bottles and have them like rattle it around, stick things together, all kinds of different things that you can. The internet is full of endless things to keep babies and toddlers preoccupied. That was what specifically worked for our toddler. Liliana usually can preoccupy herself. She has her iPad, but if not, she will put on some music for them. She's pretty easy. It's Gamila is the one you gotta stay on top of. Another tip that is also super important and very important to me is we like to time our trips very specifically. I need to know exactly what time we're leaving in the morning. So if there's any major city around you that you know has horrible traffic, like if I was going to Dallas, I would time my trip around Austin because there's no telling how long I'm gonna sit in traffic in Austin. I don't wanna be anywhere near Austin between the hours of 8 and like 10 a.m. And I also don't wanna be there anywhere between like 5 and 7 p.m. You just literally never know when it comes to these cities. So if there's any city like that around you that you're traveling through, I would definitely consider scheduling your trip around that specific city. For us on this trip, it's always Houston. We like to be in Houston before 8 a.m. traffic. So we usually leave here anywhere between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Usually we lean towards 4:30, but definitely no later than 5. I usually take the first shift just because Horace isn't the best sleeper. So that's another thing that we do is we drive in shifts. I usually drive first, then he'll drive after me. If the drive is unnecessarily and unexpectedly longer than we anticipated, I will obviously take back over if he needs me to. But yeah, we work in shifts. We try to time everything around things that we know might slow us down for whatever reason. So if there's construction or anything like that, we try to be very aware of our timing and our schedule. Also, leaving that early, leaving at 4:30 in the morning, the kids are still really sleepy and they will sleep till like 7, 8 a.m. And even if they don't fall asleep super early, they'll nap along the way because they were up so early. So that's another tip that we usually do to kind of make sure they're gonna be in the best mood, but also set ourselves up for the shortest trip possible. So yeah, just timing is really important for us. When we know where we need to be at what time and the kids are gonna sleep is just always the best option when we're in the car. Another tip that I have, I've used several GPSs over my course of my lifetime and nobody can talk me out of this. I'm gonna say what I wanna say. As controversial as it's going to be, do not try to talk me out of my opinion. I hate with my entire soul and being, you will not catch me using Apple Maps. I love Apple. We are an Apple family. My MacBook, my phone, my watch, the tablet, everything can be in one circuit, whatever you call it, but I hate Apple Maps. So I never use Apple Maps. I personally love Google Maps. Google Maps always gives me an alternative route. They always give me the best route possible, the shortest amount of time that I'm gonna take. But Horace recently introduced me to WAZE. I know a lot of people use this app. This is not at all sponsored, but WAZE, if you wanna cook something up, I'm gonna shoot you a little pitch. But we downloaded this app and it shows you everything you need to know. If there is a car parked on the side that might be a hazard, it tells you that it's there. If there's a cop that's coming, it tells you that it's there. If there's any kind of impediment in the road, it tells you that it's there. If you're coming up on traffic, literally everything you can think of, this app tells you what's happening. It keeps you in the know. So many people on the major highways are using this app and you can see who all is using it. So y'all are actually helping each other stay in the know. So if I see a car that's parked on the side of the road and they just recently got there, I can report it on my end, on my WAZE app, and it's same for other drivers. And as you're driving, it'll ask you like, is this car still there? Is this car gone? Is this cop still there? Is this cop gone? Like, is traffic letting up? Like, what's happening? That way they can stay as in the know as possible. So I definitely recommend downloading WAZE and putting it in your GPS. That way you can have a safe, smooth ride over. This specific app is something that we use. We've never had a problem with WAZE. If we feel like we don't know if it's giving us the best route, I will always double check in my Google. And like I said, Google 10 out of 10 always lets me know where I'm going. I feel like it reads the street so much faster. It lets me know so much more information. Whereas Apple, I feel like, don't even get me started. Just, we like to use WAZE. Another thing that is really helpful, specifically for Liliana's age because she is on her iPad. For a long time, her iPad was part of our phone network. We just paid for an extra line to be on her iPad, but with things getting ridiculously insane in inflation, I winded up taking her iPad off of our phone contract. And since I did that, she absolutely hates not having the internet constantly. But something that she's learned and I've learned is to download things onto their actual iPad. So if you, or your phone, or you know, whatever it is, if you're gonna be in the air and you're gonna have to be on airplane mode, if there is no Wi-Fi in your airplane, or if you're driving long distance, your kids' iPads aren't connected to your service, whatever the case may be, download things onto your device. For us, Horace has music downloaded onto his device. I will download Netflix shows if I'm in the air. I will download audiobooks if I'm in the air. For Liliana, she will download Netflix shows. She will download, you can even download YouTube videos. YouTube now has this thing to where you can put it on a certain setting and it'll refresh the videos that it downloads every so often and get rid of the videos that you previously had downloaded that you've already watched. So when you're on a Wi-Fi or you're connected to some sort of network, it will automatically change what's downloaded. And I think that is absolutely genius. I'm obsessed. Shout out to you, YouTube. That's something to consider if you're not gonna have access to internet or your little one's not gonna have access to internet. Just download things on the actual device. Just makes life so much easier, especially if you're in the airport traveling with babies. We had to download Baby Shark in such a rush one time at the airport for Camila. Thinking ahead of that and doing that ahead of time is so much easier when you're on your home Wi-Fi. So highly recommend downloading things onto either your device or the kid's device. If you're traveling alone, and I have have traveled alone with the girls, I just recommend literally all of the above. I could not recommend more. Just being more prepared. One time I was traveling with Liliana and we did get stuck in an airport with no rental car, no nut. Like it was an actual nightmare. I was carrying luggage and a car seat, and then also had her strapped to me. There's so many things that come into traveling with babies. Again, if you want that video, I can absolutely do that. But if you're traveling alone, it's definitely doable. I've taken the drive to Alabama with just me and the girls on my own. You can absolutely do it. I'm sure you know that. It will be fine. But if you're planning to take any kind of trip, this is just really helpful things that have helped us along the way. You don't have to buy anything that's super expensive. If you already have an ice chest, use that. If you already have snacks or snacks that are about to go bad in the fridge that you know need to be, pack those. It doesn't have to be this super expensive, complex thing. As long as you're prepared ahead of time, it'll make your life so much more easier on the road. You'll have to make less stops. Those are just some of the things that really help us when traveling with our little ones, when traveling that long of a distance. If you don't know, Alabama is about 10 hours away, but we've also driven to Florida, which is about 12 hours away for them. This last time coming back home, our trip took 13 hours to get home. So just anything that is going to relieve that time is so worth it. Also, on your way back, make sure to re-up on your snacks, re-up on your drinks. Just make everything really accessible to you, knowing that you're gonna have to reach around and grab different things and reach back to them. Just know that you're probably not gonna be relaxing as much as you thought you were gonna be, but anything to make that trip easier and to get there as fast as possible, I know is our main concern. And safely, make sure they're strapped in their car seats safely. Make sure their car seats are strapped to the actual base of the car. And we have a 5-strap harness, so we always make sure that the top is latched on specifically for our drives. There's just so many things that you can do to ensure safety and ensure some sort of ease when it comes to these trips. So don't at all be overwhelmed by taking one things. The girls had such a good time in Alabama. This Sunday, you will see some of that in our vlog. As of now, that is all for today's video. I hope any of this information was helpful. I will link everything I talked about down below. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.